Marimo Gallants, the South African side, what are you expecting? How do you think they can approach this game to bring about that turnaround that they so much need at this time?
Well, for Marimo Gallants, they would first of all tell themselves they've done well to, to get this far in the tournament. And, this time around, for you to be champions, you have to beat another champion or beat a team who is stronger or better than you to be champion. So you just take the Arsenals, bring them out, try to take it one step at a time. Maybe in the first 10, 15 minutes, try to get a goal and ensure they don't, concede, and then of course move on to win the particular one. But it's going to be difficult, an interesting game to watch out for later tonight.
Okay, it will be interesting to see how that pans out. Now let's talk about a matter that has been dominating the headlines since last night. Talking about Arsenal striker who is on loan at French League 1 club Reims. I'm talking about Folarin Balogun, who has decided to pitch his tent with the United States national men's team in terms of his international career. Remember, he had the opportunity to play for Nigeria. In fact, October 2022, he said he will play for Nigeria. He will consider, rather, playing for Nigeria. But the man has now decided to pitch his tent with, the U.S. national team. And this is generating reactions all around. We now have with us international sports journalist Omarwa Akatugba, who joins us virtually. Omar, good morning. Welcome to the show. Omar? Okay, we'll try to reestablish connection with Omarwa Akatugba so that he can chip in right there. But Favor,
maybe they see them as countries who are ready, better organized than maybe teams in Nigeria, in Africa.
Okay, we now have Omarwa Akatugba joining us. Omar, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Yes, good morning, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Folarin Balogun has decided to pitch tent with the United States of America in terms of, his international allegiance. We have African superstars who, at their peak, decide to ditch motherland, if you want to call it that, and play for other nations. How do you think they can be influenced to play for motherland?
I think that first thing first, motherland has to be organized. Okay. Motherland has to do things better, because those who played for motherland must have told the other ones who might have the dream of playing for motherland some of the challenges that they go through. We know that, for example, Nigeria have issues of unpaid bonuses, have issues of not planning trips, and having logistical issues. And we saw how the Nigerian national team was training at the Abuja National Stadium the last time, and the light went off. There was no generator. All those things, these little details, if we get them sorted, I'm sure that will become attractive. The honest truth is that players who choose Nigeria are the ones who don't have a chance of playing for countries where they are born. You will hardly find anyone who is very good and is wanted by the country where he was born that would ditch that country, especially in Europe and in the Americas, for an African nation. You only have players who, after realizing they stand no chance of playing for maybe Germany, France, Italy, all these countries, they now decide to pick Nigeria, because Nigeria is always a second choice. And that is not only in football. Even the average Nigerian doctor sees Nigeria as a second choice. Even if Nigeria trained him, how much more a footballer who had not gotten anything from Nigeria? Folarin
Omar,
yeah.
All right. Hello, Omar. You mentioned Nigeria as a dumping ground whenever they don't get the opportunity to play for other countries. For the case of Folarin Balogun, he played for English under-21 side. He also had the opportunity to pick England, over Nigeria, but decided to choose USA. Do you think it's the case of not having the opportunity to break into the English 11? That's the reason why he chose USA instead of England, that he has the opportunity to play for.
I'm not in his mind, but I think that he would have, weighed his options. Let's be honest. England has more talent than America. The English national team is much more difficult to break into than the United States of America, where soccer, as they call it, is not yet the biggest thing. So he must have weighed his options. If I choose the United States of America, I will play regularly. I will be very important. But if I go to England,
African football, but this time around, I'm talking about the former Gabonese, captain, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, played for Barcelona, playing for Chelsea at this time.
Yeah.
The news broke out that he's back, to the national team, and that's after meeting with the president of the nation, talking about the Gabonese president. Again, this isn't the first time we've seen that. We've had that incident, with Onana, with Victor Wanyama of Kenya as well. Don't you think that this is giving players, too much power when it comes to the national team affairs, that even the coaches seemingly do not have a say?
That's very correct. And these things happen a lot in Africa because players sometimes see themselves bigger than the national teams. It's unfortunate. And that's because our national teams in Africa does not carry so much value, because our players think that when they play in Europe, earn big money, and they are superstars, they can call the shot as far as the African national team is concerned. And that also brings us to the value that the national team carries. It is not as huge as it used to be. Back in the day, it was a major dream to play for the national team because there was big value. But today, it is not anymore the case. And that is because of all these things that we've highlighted, all of these factors. The national team becomes like a liability, for these players. Okay. I am close to a lot of Nigerian players. I can tell you how they feel the moment they hear it is international break. It is not really exciting for many of them. This is the truth. Not anymore. And that means that a lot has to be done as far as the national teams are concerned in Africa to raise the value.
All right. Yesterday we saw a remarkable feat by an African. Andre Onana made it through to the finals of the UEFA Champions League. We also
with 8 clean sheets.
8 clean sheets. I mean, he has made 44 saves already in the competition. I mean, what does this mean for Africa? And of course, we also talk about today's game. Manchester City at home against Real Madrid, the second leg of the semi-finals. I mean, let's talk about that. Andre Onana's feat in the Champions League.
I mean, this is very huge. I would basically streamline it down to for African goalkeepers. Okay. The goalkeeping department is a department where Africans don't have big opportunities. The normal thing a club would like to do in Europe is to get one young kid, from the academy and develop him to become the first choice or second choice or third choice, instead of going all the way to Africa and bringing a black goalkeeper. We've known how many African goalkeepers have really made their mark at the highest level. We can count. Nkono of Cameroon. There's this guy in the Spanish La Liga from Cameroon. I forgot his name. Vincent Enyama of Nigeria. Not many of them. Now, Onana is leading a new generation, of course, Mendy, but right now Onana is the focal point, leading a new generation of.
Okay, quickly, sorry to chip in. Let me put you on the spot, and that's about tonight's Champions League game. It's a big one, Manchester City against Real Madrid, perfectly poised. How do you see this panning out? Who gets it in about 30 seconds?
Perfectly poised is the right word. It's going to be very tight. The little details will make a lot of difference. I see Man City edging this one. Because I think that overall, that's a better team. Real Madrid has the energy, the determination, experience. But in terms of finesse and quality, I think Man City has it overall.
Okay. Let's see if you get it right in terms of the predictions. Thank you so much for your time on the show.
Always a pleasure. Thank
you so much. That was Amavo Akatuba, an international sports journalist, giving us his beats concerning African players teaching motherland for other nations in terms of international legends.